have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Happy Hallows Eve, my dear Lovebugs, and welcome to the first episode of Dear X, One Last Thing, your new favorite podcast. Over the course of the next few episodes, and maybe throughout the whole season, you'll hear me experimenting with different little intros. Please, I encourage you to please let me know which ones are your favorite, which ones you feel like fit the podcast the best. I am obviously always open to change, and I am as open as I can be to recommendations, to your opinions, and I just want the podcast to find the right groove, and I want you to be a part of that. If you are watching today's episode, if you could currently see me, you'll see that I dressed up as a little love bug because I feel like it's so fitting, and how could I not with Halloween being tomorrow?
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
It was at this moment during editing I saw I had a green leaf stuck in my teeth like I dressed up to be a hungry caterpillar. So if you're watching, be kind and enjoy. If you're celebrating or if you're dressing up, please comment below what you are dressing up as and what your costume is. That is my absolute favorite part of this holiday. Seeing people's ideas come to life and seeing everyone's creativity come to light. Is that a saying? Creativity come to light? Seeing their creativity shine, I guess, is maybe what I mean to say. But I think as human beings, and more importantly as adults, we need that. We still need some make-believe. We still need some play. We still need creativity. We need to step into a different identity and a different life every now and then. And I think Halloween allows us the space, the day, the time to do that. And amongst all of that, it also is a huge community holiday, and it really brings people together, and I think that's very important as well. So it would definitely make me smile if below you commented what you're being, what your costume is, how you made it, anything you feel comfortable sharing. It'll make me happy. But as always, I must start the episode off with gratitude. So to all of my old listeners, a very warm welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving me through my changes. Thank you for cheering me on from the sidelines. Thank you for sticking with me through this transition and through just all of this changes and me figuring out what my new place is and what I want this new platform to be. To all of my new magnificent listeners, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for following me. Thank you for making it this far. I am beyond excited to see where this podcast takes us and how we grow together. I truly can't express how grateful I am to have the number of people that I do being there for me. Receiving multiple DMs from people expressing how much they believe in me and they believe in the future of the podcast and they believe in my future success. They are recognizing my current success. It's such a surreal feeling, and I feel so loved and I feel so lucky. So thank you so much for being a part of that, and I can't explain the way that it encourages me to keep going. Before we talk about how this podcast actually came about, I do want to introduce myself for anyone new that's listening or anybody that doesn't know me in person, which is crazy to think I have people that are listening that don't know me in person. Like, it's not just my mom and my 3 best friends. It's real strangers in some way, though I hope it doesn't feel like strangers. I hope it feels more like distant friends, you know? But hello, my name is Mia Rose. I am originally from Southern California. I was born and raised there and lived there my whole life until about 3 years ago when I moved to Atlanta after I got offered an academic scholarship for college. This past May, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology. I plan to take a year off before going to grad school, but in grad school, I plan to pursue clinical psychology with a focus in marriage and family therapy, and then later get certified in sex therapy. I do want to take this time to say This podcast, this platform, in no way is meant to serve as a substitute for therapy or anything of that nature. I will give my opinions and my viewpoints as an individual that's very interested in psychology, but I am in no means licensed yet. I am in no means a professional opinion in any sense. This is strictly for entertainment only. So take what I say with a grain of salt, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But to continue, ever since I was little, I had a deep interest in relationships. Relationships just absolutely fascinated me. If you combine that with a girl's love for fashion, gossip, crafting, and journaling, then you have this podcast. During my 1 year off before grad school, I of course plan to work very hard at my 9 to 5. I am of course going to prepare for grad school, do volunteer work obviously, but my main focus is you guys. It's this show, because I know how special this show is. I know how special this podcast can be. I know how special it is right now. The world just hasn't caught on just yet, and that's okay. Growing up, confrontation was my worst enemy, and in any time of high emotion, I'd go completely mute, seemingly forgetting the entire English language completely. So instead of arguing, which I wasn't even able to get a word out, let alone actually argue or state my case or my point, I'd later write. Sometimes I'd write a letter just for myself. Sometimes I'd write a letter to rip it up. Usually I'd write a letter to the person I was in the quote unquote argument with, usually my mom. Sorry, Mom. Although I got older and my communication got a hell of a lot better, my love for writing never left, and I still believe in its many healing qualities that writing uniquely has. That's how I got my idea for my last podcast, The Lovebug Lounge, a podcast about self-love, self-exploration, overcoming hardship, radical compassion towards yourself and towards others. And if you'd like to listen to that podcast, if you'd like to get to know me a little bit better, you definitely still can. All the episodes are still going to be up in season 1. The Lovebug Lounge changed me in such a profound way in a very, very short amount of time. The podcast reminded me how much I missed having my own creative project and outlet. It helped me heal childhood wounds and old trauma I thought would never be healed. It taught me more about myself and my capabilities than anything has thus far. And I will always be eternally grateful to that podcast and to the experience, but it served its purpose. Around the time of the Lovebug Lounge closing, I had left my boyfriend, and the last episode was going to be called Leaving My Healthiest Relationship, and it was going to have something to do with the art of letting go. As I wrote the episode, it quickly turned into a final farewell letter to my ex, and I honestly felt myself feeling lighter and lighter. By the end of the experience, I was searching for a platform that offered something similar to what I had experienced, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. And you know what they say, be what you want to see in the world. And so came the birth of Dear X, One Last Thing. As soon as I got the vision for it, I was absolutely obsessed with making the idea come to life. And finally, here it is. After many giddy, sleepless nights, here is the first episode coming to you now. And so this first episode, I think it's only right that the first letter be addressed to the part of me that I had to grow out of in order to keep pushing forward, no matter how painful it was, and honestly how painful it still is. So this is a eulogy of sorts to my past self. It's a letter of encouragement to my present self, and I think it'll be a beautiful reflection for my future self. And so without further ado, let's get into it. I haven't even started reading the letter, and I do already feel choked up, so bear with me. I think this is a very positive sign because I think it's a testimony to why I feel like this podcast is so important and why I feel like it's so special and why I feel like it could be so big. And so it makes me really excited for the future and for the people that will gain from sending something in. All right, here we go. Dear Mia, first off, I must say that I love you. And I want that to be the message, no matter the age, no matter the time, no matter the circumstance. I love you. But that's why it's time to in some ways say goodbye. For almost your whole life until now, you've been busy making sure everyone around you is happy and comfortable, and then figuring out where you come in. Since you were a child, you managed your parents' emotions, learning how to gracefully walk on eggshells and look like you enjoy it. In friendships, you used to always be the first one to reach out and the only one to continue to make plans. You made excuses for your quote-unquote friends who talked about you badly, who stole from you, who canceled on you last minute, who left you out, and who put you in unsafe situations. In relationships, you would change your whole world to fit their needs and their schedule. You'd happily give up any of your plans to help them. No matter the type of the relationship, you didn't come second, third, or even fourth. You always came last, and you stepped into that role willingly. Your identity was the helper, the peacekeeper, the people pleaser. You prided yourself on how fast you could show up for your friends and how much you would sacrifice for your partners, never ever showing yourself the same treatment. You didn't even know how. You truly believed if I'm not making someone's life easier at all times, then I'm not worth having around. An impossible standard, really. A strangling belief that you weren't worthy of love or company unless you were pleasant and actively serving in some manner. But the time has finally come to give that version a send-off. Over the last couple months, you've traded scrolling for self-help books, substituted morning music for morning affirmations. You've cut people off. You've taken time alone. You broke up with the man that you thought you'd marry. You've spoke up. You've said no. You've put yourself first because for the first time in your life, you really understand that you're worth it. So for the past versions of me that craved love so badly, she was willing to shrink herself to any size to receive it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the pain you endured, but thank you for holding on for so long, because without that version, there couldn't be this one. So goodbye to the ex versions of me. Thank you for getting me so far. And to this new version, I'm ecstatic to see the ways that will grow, the places that will go. No matter what, Mia, I'm proud of you. I believe in you, and I hope you know that this is only the beginning. I took a second to gather myself a little bit, but reading that letter was so important for me right now and was so moving because reading it felt very different from writing it. Writing it, it felt like I was the version of myself that I was trying to say goodbye to, and reading it really feels like saying hello to this new version, like stepping into this new way of life, these new habits, this new identity that I'm finding and that I'm building. I think it was also really great for me to read that letter right now because I have been going through it, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. Life has been dragging me and body slamming me through the trenches of hell. That's kind of an exaggeration, but truly this is one of the roughest times I've experienced in a really long time, and I know that everything has to fall apart to come together, and I could see the light on the other side, and I know, you need the rain for the rainbow and for the flowers, and I know all of that. And knowing it does ease the pain a little bit, but it doesn't completely. And I don't think it's supposed to ease the pain completely. I think if it eased the pain completely, then I would miss the lesson of what the pain is teaching me, what the loneliness is teaching me, what the confusion is teaching me, what the identity loss is teaching me. I think without the hardship of everything, I wouldn't benefit. So I'm grateful for it. It still has been really, really, really difficult. I am really dealing with so much loss. I'm dealing with the loss of my relationship, which was the sweetest love I've ever known. And I feel so lucky to have even experienced it, because I think some people don't experience a love that's that pure in their whole life. I'm also dealing with the fact that he was and is my best friend, and I don't have that relationship anymore, and that heartache is a whole nother layer that I wasn't prepared to process when I left him. The loneliness has been excruciating, honestly. It's really a compounded loneliness as well, because it's like the loneliness of what I should have been feeling after every relationship, but I never really felt it because I was always busy numbing the pain with something. Maybe a new talking phase, maybe dates, a new relationship, partying, you know, drinking, smoking, that kind of thing. And I'm not going down that path this time. So it's really taught me that when you run from pain, it doesn't disappear. It's just waiting for you to face it again. So now I'm like facing the loneliness and the lessons that I should have been learning after every relationship, but wasn't because I was running from it. Also the loneliness of not having the deep female friendships that I thought I would have at this age. I'm 22 and I grew up on movies like 13 Going on 30 and Mean Girls and seeing little bits of Sex in the City, and I thought being in my 20s I would just have all of these deep female friendship relationships around me and would have girls. I thought my life would be like a sitcom when your friends just randomly bust in the door and there's wine and face masks every night and there's always a girlfriend to call and there's always a girl to go out with, and I don't have that, and I know it's not going to be completely how you see it in the movies and in the shows, but I don't have it in any sense that I thought that I would, and there's a lot of insecurity that comes with that. There's a lot of negative dialogue that comes with that, and then there's also just day-to-day life. If you are someone who experiences periods, there's that has, not been easy. And so there really just the last maybe month or so has just been emotionally a very heavy time. So this letter really could not have come at a better time for me, because it's a reminder that growth truly isn't linear and it'll never be. And the rest days, the off days, the mistakes, the hard days, those are really just as needed and maybe even more important than the good days and the productive days. And they're needed to become the best version of yourself, of myself. I'm not a robot. You're not a robot. We can't just focus on efficiency and excellence. I'm human. You're human. And I think that's really what I'm going to have to remind myself moving forward. Reading that letter helped me remember it's only been 4 months of being single, and I'm doing pretty good. I have made a lot of changes, and I have made a lot of really great strides, and I have grown in a lot of ways. And I think this letter was giving me the permission to actually sit back and tell myself that I am doing good enough. I am doing okay. I am okay. And there's always going to be room to grow, but what's the point of all that growth if you can't be proud of yourself every now and again? And I think I have to realize it's going to be hard for a while. Honestly, that's just life, but I do, this is cliche as heck, but I do feel like I'm like slightly the butterfly that's coming out of the cocoon, just a little bit, like just starting to, like, I feel like I am crossing over into it not being so difficult anymore, because I'm accepting how difficult it's going to be. I think that's actually going to help it not be as difficult, if that makes sense. So yeah, this letter was a good start, and I'm glad I picked it for today's episode. I am genuinely so excited for the eventual new way of life, for the new Mia, for the new rooms I'll be in, for the new people I'll be introduced to. And I know in my heart of hearts, I just know that this podcast is going to be a huge part of it. And I think it's just really special to be able to share that with all of you. I'm so glad to have a platform where there's kind of this dialogue where you could write in and you could share your thoughts and you could share your growth and your life changes and your changes of mind and your new partners and your new lessons. And it's this platform where it feels like we're doing something together, and it's more of a conversation than just me talking at you. And I feel really lucky for that. I feel lucky to have you guys to have this. And speaking of talking at you, I think maybe that's enough talking for today. I think that concludes our first episode. So if you're not already, please go check out and follow the podcast Instagram page at Dear X One Last Thing. No dots, no spaces, no underscores of anything of that nature. On the podcast Instagram, you will find more updates, and more importantly, in the Instagram bio, you will find the infamous Google Doc where you could submit an anonymous letter of your own. In doing so, you will have a whole episode dedicated to your story and doing it justice. Whether your story is funny or heartfelt or petty or angry or sad, it could be anything. It could be more. It could be a mix of all of those things. It doesn't matter. I want it. As long as it's you, as long as it's honest, as long as it's real, I want it. I want to hear from you. I want to make it an episode. For this episode, make sure that you make sure you rate, make sure you review, make sure you comment, especially if you are on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the podcast grow, and in return, that helps us have more stories to share. And last but not least, a special thanks to Kevin MacLeod himself for making this episode possible. He is responsible for the intro music called In Your Arms, which couldn't be more fitting for the theme of this podcast. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, love me a rose.